one of the things that I find very interesting about sort of the moment that rock is in right now, you talked about sort of, the danger factor. I've talked quite a bit about sort of this reluctance to like embrace anything new. So like if you look at a hip hop festival like Rolling Loud, there's a lot of people that are getting top billing or close to top billing. For example, like Lil Baby, Sweetie, Polo G, that have been making music for like, 5 years, sometimes even less. Whereas in rock, the headliners have been around for 20, 30, 40 years. And personally, I would like to see a little bit more fresh blood, getting those headlines, getting at the top of those festivals. But what is your perspective as somebody who is one of those headliners?
Yeah, we would also like to play. We feel like we fit a little bit outside of that box. The next record is going to even be more of that, right? Where we feel that we can go play some of those alternative festivals where it's like just a different thing that lives outside of the pigeonhole that kind of happens. But we would love to see, and I know Danny Wimmer talks about this a lot. I would love to see things like Post Malone or different artists headline our rock festivals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it brings this new blood in. It makes it relevant, makes it cool. I don't want to be 50 or 60 years old, still headlining those festivals and just being that same band where when everyone sees it, they're like, oh, it's the same thing. But I think when you have a Metallica or a Maiden with a different type of band, right? Whether it's like a Die Antwoord or a Rammstein or something that's like, or a Post Malone or a little Uzi Vert or something that's just different and like, and edgy and cool. I think that's really cool. But what happens over and over, and we saw this on the last cycle and we're seeing it now. As soon as you get outside of that very narrow pigeonhole, it's extremely hard to move tickets.
Yep.
And a lot of times, you're like, a lot of times you think it's the coolest thing in the world. And that artist is worth a ton of tickets on their own. And you're worth a ton of tickets on your own. And you put it together and it's all of a sudden not worth anything because both audiences don't want to go to that.
Like Lil Uzi Vert and Avenged or something. I think that would be awesome.
I would love to do that. Right. And we had a bunch of we were looking at a bunch of emo rappers and whatever they're called now, or these new this new blood of like Suicide Boys, like all these sort of things we were looking at. And it's just almost like this two different worlds does not compute. Mm-hmm. You talk to the promoters, and they don't know anything about that. Then their promoters don't know anything about us. And then it's like, then you kind of ask a couple of your friends and they're like, that'd be the best thing in the world. But if it went on sale, it would be nada. And then it goes right back to, okay, pick out of your 10 bands that we know that this audience is going to go right to. And so again, it goes back to either you're an artist that loves war or, and you got to make those decisions, right? I can make this much money if I go on tour with the same crap and yawn my way through it, or I can really take a hit and everyone's going to say how much of a failure the tour was and this and that, but artistically and I know it's cooler. And these are things that are constantly coming your way and they just grind you down because you want to do what you want to do, but then you keep going back to everyone kind of, and the funny thing about the music industry, and this is 100% true. Every success is their doing and every failure is on you. And the thing is, everybody's on board until it starts failing. And then everyone starts throwing darts at each other. Everyone's shooting arrows in each other's backs. And it doesn't take more than a day to watch this go down. And it's one of those things where you just have to be above it all and just do what you're going to do and take the consequences with it and let everyone talk because everything's not going to work out.
Easier said than done though, in the moment when you're feeling the pressure, you want to cave, you want to make people happy, or at least most of us do. Maybe you don't, but.
Well, you just need to know who are you trying to make happy and what does it make you feel? Right. And so if people are willing to turn their back that quick and get off an idea and pivot and then have a million reasons why something's not working, I don't care what they think. That's their job. They've already turned the art into a commodity. They've already lost. They've lost my attention. So that's where I stand on it.
It's interesting how many people in the industry, whether that's promoters, label people, whatever, producers, seems like, they feel like they're not very interested in music, if that makes sense.
Well, you got to think what it is, right? These are corporate gigs, and a lot of these people are great people. You go and have one-on-ones with them. They're great people. But at the end of the day, you got a guy above you and they go, well, why didn't that work? And they go, well, the band wouldn't do TikTok. Okay. But that TikTok's the only way that people hear about new music now. Why didn't you get the band to do it? Well, they don't really have a good answer other than the band won't do it. So then all of a sudden your job's on the line because you couldn't convince the band to do something that looks bad on their brand. But if you don't get that done, you lose your job because the guy at the top's going to go, well, we know that TikTok does X, Y, and Z. What are you doing? You got to get them on TikTok, right?
And they should say, well, they're not into TikTok, but here's what we're going to do instead.
Yeah.
That's working just as well.
Yeah. And that's when you get creative people and they work with you. And I have no problem with the people at the labels. I have no problem with anything. I just don't want to be shown analytics and tell me that's the way I have to do things and chase the ambulance all day. Don't tell me we can't release on a Tuesday because our chart numbers that no one cares about aren't going to be as good because songs turn over on Thursday, right? That's great, but our plan is for Tuesday. And then I'll tell you why it's for Tuesday. There's a bunch of things that are at play. I don't care about that. Or, hey, you need to put a 30-second teaser on Facebook. This is why. Well, I don't want to do that. I think that's lame. I'm just not going to do it. So it's these constant little battles, and these are not bad people. I'll say it again. These are actually really good people that really care about
families to support and shit. I get it.
And they care about the success of the record, and the way that they see it going down is these are the things that we know work. So go do that. And when you have an artist that's like, no, we're not going to do that, it becomes like that kind of tug and pull. And that's when we have to stay firm with our beliefs. And we know that if it's successful, everyone's going to celebrate. And if it's not successful, bad guys.
You fall on the sword.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.